Hello, how are you doing today? I hope you're having an amazing day and welcome back to another video. This time, we're going to compare the DJI Action 5 Pro against the GoPro 13. After testing them out for a few weeks, I have a few things to say about them in terms of video quality, stabilization, low light performance, and other details that can be important if you're thinking of buying one or the other. Just to be clear, this video is not sponsored, and if you want the details about it, you can read them down below. So, if we look at these two cameras, they do have a very similar size. The GoPro 13 is a bit taller and also a bit heavier with a weight of 158 grams. It is waterproof down to 10 meters, and once again, we get to have the GPS that they removed from the GoPro 12. The newest feature that it has is a lens system where you can buy one or multiple lenses for the camera, but the downside is that they have a price of $100 or higher. So if you want to buy like the 2 or 3 main ones, it's gonna cost almost the same as the camera. At the bottom of the camera, we have the famous GoPro fingers and a 1/4-inch thread hole, so you can use a tripod if you want to. I didn't know that this camera now supports a magnetic quick release mount until a few days ago, and sadly, this doesn't come as a free accessory when we buy this camera. So the Action 5 Pro has a smaller form factor with a weight of only 146 grams. It is waterproof down to 20 meters, and now it has an altitude and water depth indicator. There is a new internal memory which feels like a lifesaver sometimes when you forget your memory card at home. It only has 45.7 gigabytes, but that's plenty enough to let you record for 1 to 2 hours using 4K. When you buy this camera, there is going to be a magnetic quick release mount inside the box. I do love free accessories, so this is a big plus, and this will let you mount or remove the camera quickly. But I have to confess that I've been using this other one instead, so I can have the option to either use the GoPro style fingers, which are retractable, or use this 1/4-inch thread hole with a tripod, for example. The Action 5 Pro also comes with this protective frame, which is made of plastic, but the quality seems to be really good. It feels solid and it does a nice job protecting your device, and at the same time, it will let you change the orientation to a vertical position. And guess what? This is another accessory that you get for free. These two cameras have a front-facing screen, and you're going to be able to see a live view of your framing and some of your current settings. But on the GoPro, this still is not touch-enabled, so you can't have any kind of interaction with the screen to change the settings, for example. The front screen on the Action 5 Pro is touch-enabled, and this will not only let you see a live view, but you can change all the settings that you need without having to turn the camera around. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but you really get to appreciate it. So GoPro chose to use the same chip and sensor from the last generation. The size of the sensor is 1/1.9 inches, which is a bit smaller than the one on the Action 5 Pro, but it can record using a large 8:7 aspect ratio, which is excellent if you want to reframe your videos later to a horizontal or vertical aspect ratio. It does have some limitations. For example, you can't lock the horizon, there is only one field of view that you can use, and it doesn't work with high frame rates, but nevertheless, it is a good feature to have. The Action 5 Pro did not get what everyone was waiting for, and we still have a 1/1.3-inch sensor. It is a bit larger than the one on the GoPro 13, but DJI upgraded the internal chip for better image processing. Although many users feel that the videos now have a bit too much of an HDR effect, which sometimes can be more intense in some videos than others, and this is a feature that you can turn off if you want to, like you can on the GoPro 13. The other complaint related to this has been about the lack of details on the clouds and the gray tone that they have, but comparing the skin tone on these two cameras, I feel that the Action 5 Pro is doing a better job lifting the shadows. The GoPro 13 doesn't look bad, but my face, the shirt, and the straps, they all look darker, and then looking at the clouds, there is a big chunk that has been blown out. I actually thought that this was not shot using HDR, but I was able to confirm this on the GoPro itself. The new GoPro has the advantage that it can record 5.3K videos up to 60 frames per second, but it doesn't feel quite right for me. One of these two videos was shot using 4K and the other one was using 5.3K. If you look closer, you can see that one of them has more color noise and the video seems to be softer as well. So pixel by pixel you might get a little bit more of details, but the video quality overall is not quite there yet. The maximum resolution on the DJI Action 5 Pro is 4K and both cameras can record using 4K up to 120 frames per second. And comparing videos taken with these two cameras in daylight, it's not very easy to pick a winner on the image quality, and I honestly think that they look really good. I think that some videos on the GoPro seem to have a higher level of details, but this might be because of the sharpness that was used inside these cameras. The clouds in general are going to look more appealing on the GoPro, but I like that the blue in the sky on the Action 5 Pro seems to have more contrast, and I prefer this tone most of the time. I also don't like the flare that can be seen more frequently on the GoPro 13, although the one that you get on the Action 5 Pro looks like a green artifact, which doesn't look good either. And last but not least, unless you're using a narrow field of view, the GoPro does have the worst distortion between these two cameras, and for people like myself, this can be a deal breaker. One feature that I like about these two cameras is that they can record videos using 10-bit color, and they both have a flat color profile in case that you want to color grade your videos in post. So this is the part where I show you and talk about the low light performance. The Action 5 Pro has a new Super Night mode that will lift the shadows to bring up the details, enhance the brightness, and apply a denoiser at the same time to your video. It doesn't mean that it's going to look perfect because we still have a sensor that is not too big. But the GoPro doesn't have anything like this, and the results are going to be day and night. There is no way that GoPro can compete against DJI or Insta360 with this kind of video quality in low light conditions. And you have to understand that this is not just about the nighttime, but it applies if you're indoors with artificial lights, on cloudy days, or if you are on a hike with big trees, just to name a few. But be aware that using Super Night mode on the Action 5 Pro has some limitations. Horizon balance is not going to work, you can't shoot higher than 30 frames per second, and you're not going to be able to record using D-Log-M. The Action 5 Pro and the GoPro 13 use an electronic stabilization system that will make your videos more stable. And honestly, side by side, they look pretty much the same, and it's really hard to notice a real difference. They also have a system that will keep the horizon straight in your video, even if you rotate the camera to the left or the right up to 360 degrees. But on the Action 5 Pro, using 4K will only support 45 degrees, so you would have to use a resolution of 2.7K or lower if you want to use 360 degrees. Another problem that we get in low light conditions with action cameras is the motion blur or glitch effect that your videos will have when you use their electronic stabilization. Using the Super Night mode on the Action 5 Pro, it will help to reduce that effect, or another way to do it is by using a higher shutter speed, but this can result in less light going into the sensor and having your videos look darker, but this is going to be a topic for another video. When it comes to the battery life, the Action 5 Pro will last longer than the GoPro 13, but the good thing is that the batteries can be replaced on these two cameras. For the Action 5 Pro, I absolutely like this charging hub that you're going to get if you buy the Adventure Combo. It can be used as a power bank if you want to charge other devices, and it comes with two extra batteries and this 1.5 meter extension rod. Anything wrong right now, but this is a low light test. I'm not using Super Night mode on the Action 5, but GoPro looks pretty dark on the screen. This is a low light test. I'm not using Super Night mode on the Action 5, but GoPro looks pretty dark on the screen. The internal microphone on both cameras are good enough for everyday videos, but using an external microphone is also possible and highly recommended. For these action cameras, I've been using the DJI Mic 2 with a direct connection between the transmitter and the camera, so you don't need a receiver, an adapter, or cables. And the best part is that DJI sells the transmitter by itself, just like this. and it's not really expensive, and it's going to work with the GoPro 13, the Action 5 Pro, your smartphone, and other devices as well. For overheating, I did test these two cameras as I always do, where there is no movement, no airflow, and no air conditioning. The Action 5 Pro did not overheat using 4K at 24 or 60 frames per second, but at 60, I was getting a few warnings that the camera was getting hot at around 1 hour and 30 minutes, but it never came down to shut down until the battery died. The last generations of GoPros have always had issues with overheating, but they've been improving over time. The GoPro 13 is the first one to pass the test and not overheat when it was recording at 4K and 24 frames per second, but the camera itself was very hot, and at 4K and 60 frames per second, it did overheat at 47 minutes. And I didn't dare to make this test twice because this was so hot that I could not even grab the camera. It was a scary situation. And GoPros, they have been known for being a bit glitchy sometimes. I haven't had major issues like I did with the GoPro 12, but a few weeks ago when I was charging the GoPro 13, this message appeared on the screen of the camera. But the camera seems to be okay. I mean, it's working still. At the end of the day, I think that the GoPro 13 can still do a very good job. It just depends on what you're going to use it for. But I really wish that this company would try to bring more innovation to their cameras, better low light performance, maybe improve the menu system, which is really annoying to use, and making the battery door a bit easier to open would be just great. I am really not looking forward for a GoPro killer because competition is actually good for everyone. And after this mini rant, the good news is that GoPro dropped the price, and now these two cameras have the same retail price. So the links to these two action cameras are going to be down below. And if you use any of them, it will support the channel. But as always, giving a like to this video will be appreciated, and it's free, just like the protective case that comes with the Action 5 Pro. If you want to share anything else or talk about these cameras, use the comment section down below. But please, please, please be respectful. Bye.